It is not mentioned in the suttas that you can teach children to sing, but it's also not mentioned in the suttas that you cannot teach children to sing. So, it is better to teach children to sing good songs, otherwise they'll go and learn bad songs. So you must tell the parent, you're not teaching your son or your daughter to become a monk or a nun. You're only teaching your son or daughter to become a good Buddhist lay person. Only for a monk or a nun, you cannot sing and dance. But for a lay person, there's nothing wrong. We must not be too extreme, like some religions. Certain things like worldly enjoyment for lay people, Buddha did not say lay people cannot enjoy. The Buddha said you can enjoy, but enjoy in a wise way. You enjoy not to the extent of harming others or harming yourself. It's okay. Secondly, when you enjoy, be careful not to get attached. Because in the suttas, the Buddha said, worldly happiness, once you enjoy it, there is a tendency to become attached to it. Very strong tendency to become attached to it. For example, liquor. I start consuming liquor, the feeling high, very nice feeling. Tomorrow night also I want to drink. Right? Also, if you start to drink liquor already, and all your inhibitions drop away. Things you dare not say, you dare to say when you drink liquor. Things you dare not do, you dare to do when you drink liquor. Yeah? So it's very nice. But then you have to be very careful. You get carried away usually. You have to be very careful because the standard for monks and nuns is very different from the standard for lay people. Only when you understand the Dhamma enough, then you will naturally steer away from worldly happiness. Because you find it's in the end, it's not really satisfying. It only gives you short-term pleasure. Whereas there's another type of happiness which is deep inside. If you walk the spiritual path and you lead your life so that it benefits others, then at the end of your life, even you don't have to wait for the end of your life. Even when you're walking the spiritual path, you find because you lead a life that benefits others, and you'll be very happy inside. You know you're leading a very useful life. You're not leading your life only for yourself. You're living your life for others. What's the point of living our life just for ourselves? You enjoy. At the end of it, you find all your blessings used up. Yeah. And then also in that process, very often people who only think of themselves, they harm others, they cheat others, and all that. As if you live your life for others, even though you may not be so happy, like Mother Teresa, I'm sure she has a lot of inside happiness and satisfaction, even though she was in India, living a very hard life. You can see it in her face, a lot of lines. But then it's a satisfying life. The effects of karma is very complicated. That's why the Buddha said there are 4 things that you should not think about too much. Otherwise you become a bit cuckoo. One is the power of a Buddha. Another one is the depth of jhana. Another one is world speculation. Another one is karma vipaka. Because karma vipaka depends on many factors. For example, now you have a lot of bad karma obstructing you. So you hear the sutta says that you have to do a lot of good deeds to overcome your obstructions, your bad karma. So some people think, I do charity, pausi. Then he does some charity, then he thinks he has done a lot. And after some time, he finds his problems are still the same, and he might get disillusioned. But actually, pausi, charity is the easiest thing to do. You are only giving your extra money away. Of course, you do something like Bill Gates is different. Give away 95% of your wealth, only keep 5%. But most people is the opposite. You give only 5% and then you keep 95%. Right? So your charity is not very great. On the other hand, if you keep your sila, it's better karma, better merit, more merit. It's called keeping your sila is harder to do, right? And then if you really follow the Buddha's words, not only keep your five precepts every day, once a week also you have to keep the 8 precepts. And then after that, if you listen to the Dhamma and then you put it into practice and you meditate, this Dana, Sila, Bhavana. Dana is charity, Sila is keeping your precepts. Bhavana is developing your mind. Developing your mind is not only through meditation, it's also involves listening to the Dhamma, learning the Dhamma. Because when you learn the Dhamma, then you get more wisdom. So you are developing your mind. Also, when you learn the Dhamma, you learn to change your character. You put away your defects, your wrong habits, evil habits. And then you cultivate good habits, change your character. That's the most important thing. If you are able to change your character for the better, become a better person. When you become a person such that people like to be near, because you are truthful, you don't cheat people, you are straightforward, you are metta, you don't have anger, you don't keep anger in your heart and all these things. And so that's the best way to impress people. So if you really change your character, that is really very meritorious. Then if you actually practice the Dhamma, then you know you're walking the right path. And then whether that karma ripens or does not ripen, you're not so greedy for the fruit of it. If you are always looking for the fruit, you do something and you expect the result, then the Buddha says your merit becomes less because you have a selfish motive. On the other hand, if you do it without expecting the result, you know that it's proper what you should do. Whether the karma ripens this life or immediately or in a future life, you are not greedy for the result. Then just by doing it, you are happy already. You're happy already. And then also, if you understand the Dhamma, then you will realize whatever evil comes to you is a result of your past karma. So you accept it. Once you accept it, it's not much of a problem. Most of the time, these things we make us suffer because we cannot accept it. When we cannot accept something, then we find a lot of dukkha. Once we accept it, it's not a problem. This is like sometimes some people are very attached to their child, and then the child passes away, and then they become so grief-stricken, sometimes to the point of becoming mentally deranged. But if they can let go, then they see that is the karma of their child. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing that anybody can do. It's the karma that the person has to bear. Then you accept it. No more problem. So in the same way, whatever problems come to us, we accept it. And then we also think about the good things that come to us. Don't only think of the bad things. And when we count our blessings, then life is not so bad now. When you compare yourselves with other people, there are many people much worse than us, right? And we should be happy. This karma is very, very complicated one. Not only what you do, also the state of your mind, also the person you do it to, and then the environment affecting you, and then also your karma from the past. How bad is the karma from the past? If the karma from the past is very bad, then sometimes whatever you do also, you don't seem to improve it. That's because your karma is very bad. So since you don't know all these factors, it's very hard to say whether what you do is going to have effect or not. You must differentiate between worldly cause and effect and Buddhist cause and effect. Karma vipaka means intentional action and its result. So as far as buying the fish is concerned, if you buy a live fish and have it killed, that is evil karma. But if you buy a fish that is already dead, you have not contributed to its killing. If the whole world became vegetarians, you think they won't kill animals? Animals will still be killed. People use fish as fertilizer also nowadays. So even if you don't eat the fish, people will still catch the fish and use it as fertilizer for the plants. The Buddha is a very practical person. He had the wisdom to see that you cannot stop killing in this world. The only way to stop killing is to understand the Dhamma. If you use this logic that because you eat fish, so people kill fish, then there's a lot of things you cannot do. You cannot stay in a house. Why? Because when you stay in a house, people have to make more housing estates. When people make housing estates, they have to clear huge forest areas to make housing estates, and a lot of animals die. You cannot use electricity because if you want to use electricity, the government has to make dams. When the government makes dams, then the rivers, the banks are all flooded, a lot of animals die. And you cannot sit in a car because if you sit in a car or drive a car, then they will make more cars. And right now, with the number of cars on the road, every day 2,000 human beings are killed on the road and countless animals. So, by using a car, are you contributing to the killing of human beings and animals on the road? If you don't use car, then there's no car on the road, then no human beings are killed on the road. So you cannot use a car. I give you a simile. Okay, suppose there is a serial killer in town. Okay, and this serial killer has raped and killed many women. So much so that no women dare to go out in the streets at night. Nobody dare to go out. So the whole town is scared and everybody is crying out to the police, why don't you do your job? So the police have to work very hard. And after some time, they manage to catch the killer. So there is a trial. And then after that, after the long trial, then the judge passes sentence according to the law. He is to be hanged until death. So on the appointed day and the execution day, they lead him out. And then they bring him to the place where he is to be hanged. Then they get a hangman. Hangman to close his eyes, tie his hands, put the rope around his neck, and this hangman goes to one side and pulls the lever, and this person is killed. Okay, now a human being is killed, Okay, so somebody must have done evil for a human being to be killed. Okay, who has done the most evil? If you look carefully, according to the karma vipaka, the one with the heaviest evil karma is the person who did the execution because he pulled the lever, right? But when you accuse him of doing the killing, he will say, I didn't kill him, I only cari makan only to feed my wife and children. It's the judge, the judge condemned him to death. Then when they asked the judge said, what? I only go according to law, I sentence him only according to law, but I didn't kill him. It's the man who killed him, isn't it? So if you go by karma vipaka, the heaviest karma is the person who pulled the lever to kill him. The second biggest karma is the judge, because the judge condemned him to death. Okay? Now how about the people in the town, all of you? Actually, this person has to die because of all of you, because of the safety of all of you crying out to the police to find the killer, then this person has to die for your sake. So are you guilty? Are you guilty of killing this man? Indirectly, you are responsible for this person's death, because of your safety, this person has to die, isn't it? So are you guilty? You are not guilty because you did not ask for him to be hanged. If, suppose you write a letter to the newspaper, this person must die because he killed my daughter, this person must hang. Then in a way you are responsible because you asked for this person to be executed, But if you did not open your mouth, you did not say he must be hanged, then you have no karma, even though you benefit from his death. So in the same way, when somebody breeds some animal and he sells it to the market to be slaughtered, the heaviest karma is the person who works in the market and slaughters the chickens, slaughter the pig and all that. Because he is the one who actually slaughtered them. The second evil karma, the heaviest evil karma, is the person who breeds the animal. Because he breeds the animal and then he sells it to the market with the intention of having it slaughtered. That means he is like the judge. He has condemned the animals to death by selling them to be slaughtered. But the person like you and me who eat the meat, we have no karma of killing. Even though we benefit from the killing, we did not ask for it to be killed. But it's different if you go to a restaurant and then you select a live fish or a live crab or whatever, and you ask them to cook for you, then you are responsible because you have condemned that creature to be killed. As long as you don't open your mouth, you don't ask for it to be killed, even though you are indirectly responsible, you don't have that karma. Because whether you eat the animal or not, most of them will still be slaughtered. Because imagine if all human beings became vegetarians, and then these animals multiplied so fast, and then they'll become pests. For example, like in Africa, many years ago, people used to, these poachers, they'll kill the elephants because of the tusks, isn't it, to sell. So they kill them until their numbers were quite small. So then these African countries like Kenya and all that, they make very strong laws against poaching. So strong that most of the poachers, they are not poaching. So now the elephants multiplied until so much have become a threat to human existence. They come into the villages to eat the banana trees, and then when people go and chase them, they kill human beings. Once when I was in my brother's house, I went to visit my mother. I saw on the National Geographic or one of these shows, these elephants, they are very smart, If they know certain houses, these people came to chase them away. At night they come and they kill the man. They come, they know there's somebody in the house. They go there and kill the man. So they can become a pest that people have to shoot them again. So when they multiply to too much, becomes a threat to human existence. They have to kill them. For example, like if you plant vegetables or you plant fruit trees, and these rabbits come and eat, and these kangaroos and these squirrels and all that, and these farmers will kill them or trap them. Even like they plant vegetables, they have to use a lot of herbicide, insecticide. Otherwise no harvest, cannot harvest anything. So this world is such that it's a race for survival, dog eat dog world. Don't talk about flesh. Even in the business, when people do business, it's also a dog eat dog world, only they don't eat flesh. But sometimes they kill each other in different ways. This world, the Buddha said, is dukkha. In the Bible, you know what they say? In the Bible it says that the world is evil. So the world is evil. The nature of the world is evil because every being is fighting for survival. As long as you have a self, you will fight for survival. And sometimes when your life is threatened, or when your son or your daughter's life is threatened, you will also kill, right? As long as there is a self, there is a selfishness. You want to protect yourself. So we cannot change this world. The world is like that. We can only change ourselves. And the way to end suffering is to strive in the spiritual path. When you strive in the spiritual path, then You give up a lot of things. And if everybody live like monks and nuns, then there's no need for electricity, no need for houses. A lot of evil is not done. Both are so important, listening to the Dhamma and meditation. Meditation I advise you to do early morning as soon as you wake up. Because when you wake up, you try to wake up slightly earlier so that you can meditate. Because that's the best time to meditate, when your body is not so tired. And then in the evening when you come back from work, and then you listen to the sutta. And then you read the Dhamma books. Because when you after work, you're quite tired. It's quite difficult to meditate. So in the evening when you have free time, you listen to Dhamma talks and read the suttas. In the morning you meditate. Actually, our meditation is to clear our mind so that we can understand the sutta. So understanding the sutta is by listening to the Dhamma or reading. Actually, if a person is not prepared, at the last minute, it's very hard to do anything. Facing death is not a 100 meters dash. It's a long run. So we have to prepare ourselves over a period of years. Then only we can face death. So if somebody is ignorant, and then at the last minute you try to teach the person some Dhamma or anything, it's no use. The mind is not tuned to Dhamma. What is important is the everyday mind. Our everyday mind, the state of our mind every day is extremely important. That is your natural frequency. So when we die, the doctor will examine your breath, you stop breathing, and examine your pulse, your heart has stopped beating, and then the doctor will say, oh, this person is dead. But actually, that person is not dead because the mind is still going on. And the mind may go on for another 1 hour or 2 hours or 3 hours. During those moments, that person is not conscious of the outside world. That person is only conscious of whatever is in his mind. So the mind is in a state of dreaming. So that state depends on your everyday mind. If a person is always chasing after worldly things, then when that person is dying, he will also think about all the worldly things. And if that person is a bad-tempered, violent type of person, then that last minute, his thoughts will be fighting and all that, will be reborn as an animal probably. But if that person is a cultured person who practices the Dhamma, who loves the Dhamma, then when that person is dying, his thoughts will be on Dhamma. And the Buddha said that kind of thoughts will bring you up to a good rebirth. So whatever you say to that person at that last minute is no use. When his eyes are open, when his ears are open, he can listen to whatever you say. The moment his heart stops beating and he stops breathing, then his thoughts will run. And those thoughts have nothing to do with your talk. Those thoughts are his everyday thoughts. And his everyday thoughts will bring him to his rebirth. So doesn't matter what you say to him in the last moment, doesn't matter at all. Most of us, especially lay people, we chase after different things in life. When you are young, you want to have a good education. After you have a good education, you want to have a good partner. After you have a good partner, you want to have nice children. Then at the same time, you want to make a lot of money. And then you want to get a nice big house to stay in, nice car to drive, etc. Then at the end of life, you find all these things are not important. At the end of life, when you are dying, what is important to you? Firstly, the good deeds that you did, to others. Secondly, the evil deeds that you did to others, you'll be very remorseful. Thirdly, the things that could have made you advance spiritually, the steps or the spiritual path, if you did not make enough effort after having come to the Dhamma, knowing the Dhamma, and you did not make enough effort, you will also regret very much. A few years ago, there was a man from Kuala Lumpur who came to our Dhamma monastery to stay for 2 weeks. And everybody liked him because he was a very good cook. He was very popular with people. But then he came, he was not used to monastery life, not used to not having dinner. So he didn't keep his precept very well. He can hide some biscuit in his kuti to eat at night, which I later found out. So after that, he left. And maybe he thought monastery life is too difficult. At night also no dinner. So he didn't come back. Then a few years later, maybe 4 years later, 3 or 4 years later, he came back one day. Then I looked at him and I said, "What happened to you?" Because his face was dark, very dark. So he told me, "I have cancer, terminal cancer." He said, "I came back to say I regret very much. I regret extremely. I didn't come back to practice in the monastery." So after that, he went back to KL and friends visited him. Also, he told them he regret very much. He did come back to the monastery to keep the 8 precepts to practice. Shortly after that, he passed away. So you see, when we have the chance to progress spiritually, we don't make the effort. It's very important, having come into the Dhamma, to learn the Dhamma enough so that you get right view. Because once you get right view, you are secure. That is most important. In samsara, in the cycle of birth and death, I don't mind going on forever if I can always be reborn in the heavenly world. Right? You also, I'm sure, you don't mind being in samsara forever and ever if you're always in the good rebirth, isn't it? What we are afraid of is rebirth in the ghost realm, in the animal realm, and worse, in the hell realm. These 3 we are afraid of, right? But once you have right view, then you will never be reborn as a ghost or an animal or go to hell. Safe now. Then slow boat out of samsara also never mind. Right? Once you have become an Arya, I think your contact, your merit is so great. Even you come back as a human being also, I think you'll have a good life. And many of the Buddha's disciples, sons of the very rich men in town, right? Having 4 wives, plenty of slaves. Go to heaven also 500 Devis as your wife. So it's very important now that we have come to the right Dhamma, the true Dhamma, to make an effort. If you don't make an effort, then when you are passing away, that will be your greatest regret. Because human life is very difficult to get. And our human life here will determine the next many lifetimes. It does not only influence your next life, it influences many lifetimes after that. Because in this human birth, we create a lot of karma. When you are born in other realms, you reap the effects of your karma as a human being. In heaven, you don't create much karma. You only enjoy, use up your good karma. And when you go to hell, you have to pay back all your evil karma. Or you're born as a ghost or an animal. There's no chance to create karma. You're just paying back. So human lifespan, lifetime is very crucial. Very, very crucial. So we must not be careless. To be extremely careful. Don't at the last moment regret this and regret that. Imagine now that you have a second chance in life. A lot of people don't have it. Suddenly they know they got cancer and within 1 or 2 months they pass away. Just like this Chinese New Year, one of my devotees in Para State said just before New Year, the sister-in-law phoned her and said coming back for Chinese New Year, asked her to cook this and cook that. And before she could come back, suddenly she found she got cancer. And then went to check, found that the lung collapsed already. I had to go to hospital, take out that lung. And then suddenly found that the cancer spread already. Now we're just waiting for death. And then she told my devotee, she said that she regret very much that she did not take interest in religion. Before she got sick, she used to laugh at my devotee spending so much time with your Buddhist monastery and all these things. And now that she is on the brink of death, then only she understands that she is not prepared for death at all. So her greatest regret did not take any interest in religion. We should live our life like the scout, be prepared. Anytime you go for a checkup, suddenly you find, you got cancer. Among the Chinese, most of the Malaysians who get cancer are Chinese. On the average in Malaysia, 1 in 4 people get cancer. So among the Chinese, you can say 1 in 3. 1 in 3. So your chances of getting cancer are very, very high. But anyway, whether the doctor tells you got cancer or not, the Buddha already said that you all have cancer. Yeah, in the Sutta, the Buddha said you have cancer. Anytime you can die. You don't know when you're going to die. And life is very short, very, very short. When you don't expect it, suddenly you find you're going to die already. Like this lady, never expect when I come home for Chinese New Year, want to celebrate. Suddenly, cannot enjoy anymore. Many years ago, one of our Penang devotees, the husband was dying. So the doctor said within 3 months definitely he will die. But after that he didn't die. And it dragged on month after month. So this old lady asked me and another monk to go to the house to do some chanting for this old man. So when we went to the house, we saw this old man, was all skin and bones. He should be dead already, but he refused to die. And he was so weak that his mouth opened, could not close his mouth. So we did some chanting for him. And after that, we left. Within 5 minutes, he passed away. So some people are like that. They don't go off because they don't have enough good karma. So they know they are going to take rebirth in the ghost realm or animal realm. So they're scared. So as long as you cling on to life, you won't die. Our mind is very strong. You're not willing to die. Even your body is rotting. Just recently somebody told me the mother's body rotting already and yet she refused to die. Pus already coming out from the mouth. Actually rotting already and yet she refused to die. Holding on to life. So this person like that, scared of dying because not enough good karma. So when we did some chanting for him, he felt assured. Then he let go. Passed away. But that does not mean he'll go to a good place. At the last moment, he feels peaceful. But once he closes his eyes and is clinically dead, then the mind will continue to go. And that depends on his karma. If his karma is good, it brings him to a good rebirth. If his karma is no good, still full of greed, hatred and delusion, go to a bad rebirth. One leads to the other. Right effort, if you practice right effort, then you can easily practice right recollection. You practice right recollection to the extent of satipatthana, and it will bring you to concentration. Right effort is like looking at your unwholesome states and discarding unwholesome states of mind and practicing wholesome states of mind. If you do that, then like keeping sila, then your mind becomes happy. And then when your mind becomes happy, then you can practice right recollection and right concentration.